What is going on, guys? Noah Brewer here, back again with another video, and today's going to be an absolute banger. I wrote out this script yesterday, and it's basically a master class on how you can go from 0 to 100K. So if you don't have a store that's doing at least 100K in sales, I would definitely recommend watching this. I'm going to be covering very specific things, everything from building your store all the way to scaling and maintaining and replicating. So this is kind of going to be a hub for like all of my strategies in one place. So yeah, let's get right into it. So I have a few goals with this video. Goal number one, of course, is to earn your like for the YouTube algae. And of course, I want to explode you with value. Number two here is I want to force you to change your strategy and your thinking with finding products, testing, scaling, replicating. I want to force you to think in a different way. And that different way being, in my way, which I think is a lot different than what other people are doing in this industry. And that's why I've been able to stick out and get the results that I have. I'm also going to be giving you this step-by-step walkthrough on how you can get from 0 to 100K a month. Like I said, covering everything from the product research all the way to replicating the entire system. And of course, there will be a link in the description to the sheet that we're looking at right now, where you can access all of the links and additional resources that are shouted out in this video. So before we get into the plethora of information in this video, as you're watching it, I want you to keep in mind that I'm currently doing a huge sale on my done-for-you product testing agency service. Everything that we talk about in this video, we pretty much automate for you, so you don't have to worry about learning it. You don't have to worry if you're doing it correctly. We just do it all. We provide the products. We can build your store for you. We do the product preparation. We run the Facebook ads, and we also provide guidance with things like customer support, fulfillment, providing connections with our suppliers that get 6 to 12 day shipping. So if you're the type of person where you want to learn, but you also want to just have somebody else do it with you and make sure that you're doing everything properly, then this is definitely for you, and I would definitely hop on this ASAP. The sale is from April 21st to April 23rd. It's 3 full days, no exception, so I'm uploading this on the 21st. The benefits of joining through these dates: you get a monthly discount off of the retainer, and then we give you a free pre-built store to kind of help jumpstart the onboarding process. If you do want to be a part of this, then send me a DM at Noah D. Brewer. We've gotten some incredible results recently. We've been doing a lot of things to improve this agency service and improve the actual results that we get, and it's proving to be working. So if you want to learn more and you want to get into it, then send me a DM on Instagram. My username is right here. But if you're the kind of person where you just want to learn and do it yourself, then keep watching this video, because I'm going to give you all the resources that you need to actually do it yourself and figure it out. So the things that I want you to know before watching this training: you are able to view this sheet while I'm talking about it, and you're also going to need it if you want to access the resources that I'm going to be talking about here. The link is going to be in the description. Another thing is I want you to ditch all your distractions. If you are super distracted right now, like you're driving or whatever, I would recommend putting this video down and coming back to watch it at a later date when you can actually sit down, give it your full focus, and be intentional with paying attention. Don't just, pay attention and then gander off into the distance. Really be intentional with trying to understand and get a grip on everything that I'm talking about. And honestly, this is why most people don't see success with watching my YouTube videos, is because, they're watching the videos while they're doing something else. And, the few gold nuggets that they would have taken out of the video, they just completely miss, because, usually the way that the world works is the 5 seconds that you need to be paying attention, you're probably not going to be. So I would recommend paying attention the whole time to pick up on all the golden nuggets that I'll be dropping here. I will say this video can range from anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour long. I have a pretty big doc here, so I'm not exactly sure how long it's going to be. No matter how short or long this is, this masterclass is going to leave you with hundreds of hours of work that you can go and do to accomplish your goals. So I do want to say that this one video is not the only video that you need to get the most value out of this. I will be linking a lot of other videos that you can go and watch for more specific strategies and advice and stuff like that. Another thing, it would really mean a lot to me if you could share this with a friend, leave a like, and subscribe. Like I said, I don't want you to do it just because I look cool or I got a pretty face. I want you to do it because you get value. So if you truly get value, send this to a buddy, leave a like, leave a comment, let me know what you think. So I want to get into why this strategy is so powerful and special and why I've built this system in the first place. One thing you have to understand about me as opposed to other people in this industry is I've managed 40 stores or more at all times for 2.5 years. Like I said, I run this agency, and what that does is it gives me a really unique perspective and ability to see averages and patterns and stuff like that. So yes, there is a churn and burn with clients. So for example, 1 month, an agency might have 100 clients. The next month they might have 60. We've been able to maintain 40 or more for the past 2.5 years. So that's a lot of ad accounts. That's a lot of stores. That's a lot of successes. That's a lot of failures. I've tested pretty much every strategy out there with these accounts. Like I said, it's a lot of money being spent on testing, a lot of money being spent on scaling, maintaining, replicating, everything that you could think of. I've pretty much experienced in this industry. I've been able to take over 100 plus stores to over 100K in sales. Not many people can say that. What most people can say is they've taken 10 to 100K or a couple to $1 million, but I actually have the benefit of doing it over and over and over and over and over again because of the agency. I've been able to replicate my strategies on a very high scale, and that's why these methods are so powerful. The last thing, if everybody knew what I'm going to show you in this training, you wouldn't be here. Everybody would just be multimillionaires just chilling on a beach in Cabo. And yeah, the last thing I want to delay before we get into the actual content is forget everything you know up to this point. Not for real, but just when you're watching this training, keep an open mind, because like I said, a lot of the things that I do are different from what other people do, and it's because of my unique perspectives. It's because of all the experiences that I've had, and I think that that's a reason why we stand out and why we get the results that we do. So I don't want you to come into this thinking that there's a right or wrong way. Nobody is right or wrong in my opinion. I don't like trashing other people's strategies, but in order to see success, you need to be able to commit to one strategy and commit to mastery of that one method. Or else you're just going to be a chicken with your head cut off. So if you want to learn this method, I recommend forgetting anything that you know up to this point and going into this with an open mind. So like I said, now we'll stop the delays and we'll get right into the value here, right into the meat and potatoes of this video. So overview, things we're going to cover: product research, store building, product preparation, product testing, scaling your ads when a winner is found, maintaining your scale and transitioning into a brand. I'll be touching on that a little bit. And then the last thing, the most important thing, once you start seeing success, is to go bigger. For each of these, I'm going to be giving some, pretty much overview advice on what you should do. And then there's going to be some resources down below to learn more specific stuff that you can do to actually, take action and go and learn these specific methods. But first, we're going to cover here product research. Now, as you know, product research is a huge part of the reason that any dropshipper is successful. Your ability to find products is probably the number one reason that you're able to find winners quickly and winners that actually scale, right? So number one, I would say make sure that you're following the Pioneer method. If you're unfamiliar with that method, I have an in-depth explanation of what it is and how to use it in this video right here. So yeah, so the product research method changed my life, which it 1,000% did. This is the product research method that got me from $1 million in sales to over $10 million in sales, just being able to scale products a lot higher than I was before. The next thing is I have recommended criteria, things that I've learned over testing literally thousands of products, and I built up this criteria, kind of rules to follow when you're doing your product research. Find UMOs, unique market opportunities. This is kind of a term that I coined just because a lot of my success has been attributed to these unique market opportunities, and if you want to learn more about those things, you can watch this video right here. I would operate closely to my recommended niches, which I have a top 3 niches video right here. And this is just because if you want to model what I've done and you want to hit 10, 11, $12 million in sales, most of those sales are attributed to these niches. So I have gone outside of these niches in the past, of course, but especially if you're just starting out, I would stick to what we know works. The last thing is, when you're doing product research, a lot of people think that having a golden criteria is the best way to do it, and I can tell you that it's not. The only way to get good at product research is to actually use a feedback loop to improve your skills, which I do cover in this bottom video here. And the last recommendation that I would give you for product research is find and test at least 2 products a week during your time when you're drop shipping. The most important thing in terms of product research is actually getting out there and testing your ideas, testing your skills. That way you can utilize the feedback loop to narrow down your ability. So like I said, in-depth explanation of the Pioneer method. Definitely would recommend watching this one, top 3 niches. And this video is one that I made recently, which explains UMOs, criteria, and the feedback loop. So Definitely go check those out. So the next thing, store building. So should you do a general niche or one product store? Probably the most popular question that people love asking. And the truth is there's no answer to this question. It's all about personal preference. And the reason I say that is because I've had massive success with every single one of these. I've had massive success with general stores. I've had massive success with one product stores, niche stores, you name it. The only thing that I would recommend is if you do choose to do the niche product or the one product route, try to choose a general name for your store so that you don't have to buy a new domain every time you test a new product, because that gets annoying, and honestly it's just an extra cost that you don't really need. So yeah, that's the truth to that question is, it doesn't really matter whether or not you do a general, niche, or one product store, as long as you're doing it good and you're following the criteria that I show in these trainings. In terms of learning Shopify, if you're unfamiliar, just search on YouTube for basic Shopify tutorials. There's thousands out there. That's why I don't make Shopify tutorial videos, because I just don't need to. There's so many trainings out there already. And the theme that I recommend using is Debut. Now, I do have a example site here. It is password protected, so the password will be written right here as store. See if it'll load up. So you can kind of go onto our official example site and see, how should I set up my site and make sure that you're doing it right. And this is also a really cool video as well, where I reviewed all of my client stores. I think it was like 60 or so client stores. And I looked at the common mistakes that they were making. And I made a video talking about, what are the common mistakes, how you can avoid them. So I would definitely recommend checking this out if you want to kind of optimize your store building skills a little bit. So we just logged into the Team Primitus example store, and you can see that it's just a simple general store. This is usually how we run things when we're just doing generic dropshipping with Facebook ads. You can kind of go in here and look at an example of a product description and how we set up a product page, which we'll get into actually in the next slide. So yeah, definitely make sure that you go and check out the Team Primitus example site, and I would highly recommend watching this video on the common mistakes most people make when they're building their stores. All right, so now that we've covered product research and store building, let's get into product preparation. So first you find your product, then you build your store, and now you need to prepare it for actual testing. So I'll talk a little bit about product page, product descriptions, ad copy, and then we'll move on to the next section, because I know that this is pretty tedious stuff that most people don't really care about, or you already know how to do it. But it is really, really important, especially if you're trying to follow my methods, that you do exactly as I do, because I've optimized these and I've made sure that everything is perfectly optimized for the best results. So in terms of your product page, you can either do a normal product page or a Gem Pages product page. Like I said, I've had massive success with both. Gem Pages, I would say, is a little bit better in terms of like the results that we get in the agency. The guys that are using Gem Pages are usually getting better results than the guys that are using the normal product page, which we've optimized a template for Gem Pages, which you can kind of see on this Gem Pages page example down here. Another thing that I want to say is, depending on what you choose, whether you decide to go with Gem Pages or normal, make sure that you stick with the same layout for at least 5 to 10 products. Don't like be switching your layouts and your descriptions and all these kind of things every single product test, because at that point you're not really testing products, you'll be testing product pages. So a couple things I want to go over here. You have how to actually build a normal product page and a product description. Actually, I don't know if this one actually covers product descriptions, but it does cover the actual product page itself. And you can see that we're using this dent puller product here. So I would definitely recommend checking that out if you do decide to go with the normal product page option. And if you do want to go to Gem Pages, I also have a Gem Pages tutorial on how to make the template and make the description and all that. And I made the example site live here. So this is the Gem Pages example site. This is the one that I built live in that video, so you can go see me build this and how I did it. And you can see we made it really nice. I put custom images on all the pictures. So yeah, this is pretty much all I have to say in terms of product pages and product descriptions. I would say stick to the same method. You can do either product page or Gem Pages, doesn't matter, but Gem Pages usually works better in my opinion, and just based on what we've seen in the agency so far. So I'll touch a tiny bit on ad copy. The biggest thing that I want to say about ad copy is the same as before, like make sure that you stick with the same structure for every single product that you test. And you'll see that I'm talking about make sure that you stick with the same for each one, because it's very, very important that you do that, mainly because if you're testing products, you want the product to be the actual thing that you're testing, and you don't want to be testing any other thing while you're testing products. Something that my mentor taught me and really pushed on me was when you're testing new things, only test one thing at a time. because if you change two things, then you don't know what caused the change. It could have been one thing or it could have been the other. So that's really, really important. I just made a video, I think just a couple weeks ago, on how I write ad copy. Pretty simple video. I go pretty in depth on how to do it for cold traffic, retargeting, how you can structure it so that it's the same each time. So yeah, definitely watch that video and follow the steps just to get your high converting ad copy out of the way. All right, the big kahuna, product testing. This is where you actually create the ads and you spend money and you actually test your ideas and test your products. Just like before, stick to one testing strategy. Don't be jumping from like, oh, testing with CBOs is doing really good, or oh, testing with ABOs, 10 ad sets, 7 ad sets. Find one method and stick to one method. This is incredibly important, guys. And I'm going to keep on repeating that as much as I can, because a lot of people just do things randomly, and that's the way that they do things, and they like to jump around and just, that's part of the reason why you're not successful, is because you're not sticking to one strategy. So you never actually, stay with one thing long enough for it to actually work. So if you don't know, pretty much my entire advertising strategy is covered in my ebook, which you can download on this website here. So you can see I pretty much cover everything in here. You have your testing phase, which is your product research, your testing products, and then analyzing the test campaigns, which I also have video trainings here for you to do. So this is a video that I would definitely recommend watching, and you can literally have your ads manager open and this video open and just do things as I tell you, and I'll literally walk you through essentially one-on-one on how to launch your product test using this video. And then 2 days later, you can watch this video and I'll walk you through essentially one-on-one on how to actually analyze it, decide whether or not it's a winner, if you should turn it off or keep going with it. These are two incredibly valuable videos, but if you'd rather read about it, I also have it here in the book. Now, I cover the exact strategy, how you should set up your ad sets, how you should set up the campaign, choosing interests, structuring the campaign like I just said, the ads that you should use. So everything is covered super in depth in that ebook, and you can also watch the video trainings if you'd rather have me walk you through doing it one-on-one. So essentially what we've covered so far is going to be the bulk of what you're doing until you actually find a winning product. Now, this is pretty much what dropshipping with Facebook ads is. It's this simple. Essentially, you find the product, put together your store, you prepare the product for testing, and then you actually test the products. This is exactly what you need to be doing at all times. Like I said, I recommend at least 2 per week if you're just starting out and you have a single store. That kind of seems to be a sweet spot. That's what we do for our agency clients, and we get good results doing that. So until you have a winning product, this is pretty much all that you need to know. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't keep watching, because I will be covering things that can help you actually get better while testing and while doing your product research when you have the future in mind. But essentially, this is the steps until you get to a point where you're making money that you're just going to be rinsing and repeating over and over. So I would get really familiar with this process, and I would go and practice it a bunch of times. And like I said, the better that you get at this process right here, the more winners that you'll find and the more money you'll be able to make. So this is probably the most important part of dropshipping. I would say scaling and maintaining and replicating is also very, very important. We're about to get into those right now. But I do want to say, if you can find a winner, then you have plenty of time to focus on your scaling. You have plenty of time to focus on maintaining it and getting better shipper times and all that. So one could argue being able to find a winner is kind of more important than being able to scale one. Not that being able to scale one is not important, but if you can find winners all the time, then you can always have plenty of time to get really good at scaling. So you followed all the steps up until this point, and now you have a winning product. You have something that was profitable in the first 2 to 3 days, and now it's continuing for about a week. So number one, the goal of scaling is not to hit the highest revenue figures as physically possible. I know that a lot of people are showing off, 50K days, whatever. That's not the goal of scaling, and the goal of scaling is not to increase your ad spend either. The goal of scaling is simple. It's to scale as profitably and as high as possible at the same time. If you can do 20K per day and make more money than you would doing 50K per day, that's perfectly fine, because your focus is where it matters, on the profits. A lot of people think revenue is super important, And honestly, a lot of the guys out there like high revenue because it helps them sell their course. Like, let's just call out the fact of the matter here. But at the end of the day, profits is what truly matters. And, this is like one of the base level foundations of actually being able to scale a store profitably. Once you realize that it's all about profits, you stop focusing on, how can I spend more? How can I scale this to the next level, yada yada, and now you're going to start focusing on how to actually make more money. So this is a really good base foundational subject to know and understand. And like I said, if you're a beginner, we've scaled tons of stores. We just took on a client that was doing $1 million a month before he came to us, and we were able to scale him to $2 million a month. So we literally doubled his revenue in 60 days. His highest day beforehand, I think, was like 45,000, somewhere around that level. And we were able to bring his new record day to around 84 grand in one day. So that's just one example out of many where we've been able to successfully scale a store. So this is a subject that I am definitely proficient in. Being an agency, it's a lot of what we focus on is just scaling stores, and it's a huge part of the value that we bring. Is we have a very specific scaling strategy that we're able to implement, and it works literally 90% of the time if you have a winning product. So I follow this strategy like very, very in depth in this case study right here. So this is a 3-part case study of a store that we took from $0 to $2 million in 6 months. If you click the playlist here, there's 3 parts. So you have kind of like part 1, which is just basic stuff, things that you need to know, what are the margins, stuff like that. And then part 2 and 3 are super duper in depth on the actual ad strategy that we used to scale this store to $2 million in sales. So I promise you, if you watch this 3-part series, you can see that it's like 40 minutes, 45 minutes in total. Your scaling game is going to be probably on point, and you're going to be a lot more refined in the way that you're thinking and the way that you're acting in your ad account. And I'm going to bring up the ebook again because, guys, this ebook is literally insane. I put my entire strategy in here, and I called it, the entire multi-7-figure ad strategy, and that is not a lie. I go super in depth on every single subject. You can see the scaling phase here. So you have the initial scale, the mindset goals, the initial scale phase 1, phase 2, and then you have CBO scaling phase 1, CBO scaling 2, and then obviously retargeting I cover in here because I consider that a part of scaling. And then, then deciding, do you keep going with CBOs or do you do lookalikes? And then I go in on how you can actually use lookalikes to scale properly. So all the different types of lookalikes you can do, how to structure a lookalike campaign, how to analyze them, how to do CBOs with lookalikes. So everything that you need to know about scaling with my strategy is pretty much in this ebook, as well as product testing and maintaining is also in this ebook. So this ebook I think is super underrated. Over 10,000 people have downloaded it. So if you don't have it yet, go look at it and go read about it. So now we're going to talk about maintaining your scale and transitioning into a brand, kind of creating it more into a serious business rather than just like a garage built dropshipping store. So one thing I want to say is once you scale a product to its height and you hit your peak, maintaining is all about refining your systems, improving your systems, and testing more ads, testing more strategies, things like this. I do cover the maintenance phase a lot in this ebook as well. If you scroll down, there's like a whole section on it with a few chapters. So we have the maintenance phase, and this covers how to keep your winning product alive so it doesn't die out, right? Testing new creatives, stuff like that. The overall idea, so like mindset is really important in this phase because a lot of people get lost and they're just like, oh, the product's dying out, stuff like that. So I would definitely recommend checking that out. But to give you an essence, everything that you probably want to do is in this video right here that I made not too long ago about how to maximize your store's profits and revenues and actually keep it, something that's going to last. Do everything in your power to maintain good relationships with Facebook, payment processors, and of course, your customers are number one. If you want to maintain a scale and you want to actually make real money doing drop shipping or e-commerce in general, you can't do it by having super pissed off customers. Like, especially from my perspective, where we mainly focus on the marketing side of this business, because we're an agency, that's what people pay us to do, is to increase their sales, and we do that very well. But it's hard to do that at a certain level if the store owner is not keeping up with their customers. Like if their customer service is bad, if the shipping times are bad, all these things add up, and ultimately it will end up in your marketing just being terrible in due time. So especially from us being from an agency perspective and being really, really good at marketing, at a certain point, once you cross your peak and now you're maintaining, this kind of stuff, like customer service, shipping times, all this stuff will start catching up with you if you don't keep up with it while you're scaling. So especially, Facebook can ban you for having a low feedback score. You can't have pissed off customers because they'll go and report your ads. Payment processors, if you have pissed off customers, they go and charge back, and then now Stripe is banning you and PayPal's banning you. Honestly, PayPal will probably ban you either way. Or you don't really need pissed off customers for that. But yeah, it's essentially what the maintenance phase is about: testing new ads and building your business to where you can actually have happy customers, and you're not worried about Facebook banning you for feedback or payment processors banning you because you're having chargebacks. And in terms of transitioning it into a brand, like something that actually has a name, something that is actually worth something in the long term, it can be whatever you want it to be. You can bulk order, you can do USA fulfillment, you can put your logo on the product, you can start a Facebook group, you can become active on all social medias, you can build a content team and start posting organic content, like TikTok, YouTube. You can build a YouTube channel around your brand. There's so much that you can do in terms of transitioning your winning product into a brand, and I would recommend definitely exploring some of the options and testing around with it. Once you have a winner and you're maintaining it and your shipping times are good, you can definitely start messing around with this and refining those systems. Like I said, now that you have a winner, you're making money, I think now it makes sense to invest some time and money into medium and long-term activities. Like I said, content, starting a YouTube channel, private labeling, USA fulfillment, bulk ordering, stuff like this that actually benefits you. It wouldn't really benefit you tomorrow. Like say, if you create a new campaign, it would pretty much benefit you tomorrow, but these kind of things will benefit you in the medium to long term. All right, so now I'm going to touch on a subject a little bit, and that's replication. This is the key to having massive success. This is not the key to having little success. This is the key to having massive success. We're not talking about just finding one product and, most people, they'll just find one winning product, scale it, make 100K, and then, rest on their laurels and go buy a BMW and a nice house, and they just call it a day. But what most people don't realize is in this industry, you can lose everything like that. So it is most important that you replicate what you do, and you keep testing. Right? Like, don't just sit. Once you find a winning product, don't just sit and, scale it and cross your fingers like, oh, I hope this one makes me rich. Start another store, replicate what you did. It'll make you better, and it'll make you more money ultimately. Of course, do more of what worked, what works, referencing the feedback loop that we did early on in the product research section of this video. Look at what worked and try to replicate it with the strategies, the actual product research method that you followed, the testing method you followed, the scaling method you followed. Do it again. You know what's cooler than building a $1 million store? Doing it twice. That's what's cooler. And this is how you do it. You essentially just keep testing and you keep going and you replicate and you do more of what works. And like I said, if having more money and replicatability doesn't excite you, then you need to do this either way, because e-commerce is very volatile. Like I said, a store can be taken away from you with the snap of a finger. Feedback score bans, payment processors, Facebook bans for no reason. So I know that there's value in focusing on one thing, on one store, making it as good as it can possibly be. But I wouldn't rely on one thing, especially if you're early on in your process. I know a lot of guys that have had multiple 6-figure stores, multiple 7-figure stores, and now they only have one store, and that store is crushing it. But they've done it multiple times. They've already replicated. They know that they can replicate again. So I understand the other side of this, to where, if you focus on one thing, you can really narrow it down and get really good at it. But like I said, e-commerce is very volatile, especially if you're just starting out and you don't have good relationships with Facebook and payment processors. Then it's extra volatile. So if the money doesn't motivate you, then the stability of replicating should. All right, guys, that's it for this video. I hope it was super valuable for you, and I hope that you can actually go into this masterclass worksheet. Like I said, link in the description, and you can actually go through, read it, use all the resources that are tagged here, because this is pretty much all the most valuable shit that I've created in one document, so that you can easily access it all, and it's all in order and it's put together very nicely. So if you do see results from actually taking action on this video, I want you to leave a comment and let me know. And if you also have feedback, if you got value out of this, leave a like, leave a comment, let me know what you thought. Super excited to put this video out there. Also, don't forget, 3-day sale on the agency. If you want to get in, now is the best time to do so. So send me a DM on my Instagram, and we'll be sure to explain it all to you and get you signed up if it's a good fit. But yeah, as for this video, this is Noah Brewer, and I'm out. Peace.